Hello everyone, it's Simmuz here. Welcome to a brand new video, and today we're talking about The Sims 4 and its rating. But before jumping into the video, as always, if you enjoy this kind of content, let me know, of course, in the comments, leave a like to this video, subscribe to my channel as well, because all the good stuff really helps me out and lets me know that you want to see more of these kind of videos. So today we are going to talk about the maturity level of The Sims 4 compared to the other games of the franchise and what everybody thinks and says about The Sims 4 being too mature, not mature, or anything in between. The reason I wanted to make this video in the first place is because I usually really see this sentiment happening a lot online of people saying that The Sims 4 is too restrictive and polished and being too sanitized for the general public, especially considering its rating of T for teenagers and also comparing it to the older games. And it really makes me think about this a lot. Is it real that The Sims 4 is less mature than the previous games? Are they really trying to keep it more kid-friendly? Or have they, I don't know, maybe the public has grown up with the games and that is also why they feel like the game is too sanitized now, while it's actually just them being more adult. And I feel like this sentiment has been kind of turning tides maybe after the announcement of Lovestruck. So if you don't know about Lovestruck, this is going to be the new expansion pack for The Sims 4 that is coming out later this month as of me recording, and it is a whole pack all about online dating, having fun as adults, and maybe intimate relationships as well. So it is definitely a way more mature pack than what we've seen in previous expansion packs and also just packs in general for The Sims 4. That's like for sure. You can see it in the trailer if you've seen the trailer. It is pretty adult. Like, we have online dating, we have polyamory, we have relationships and intimate relationships and public displays of affection that are also like fully in public now. We have love hotels. There is a few things that I feel like are a little bit more adult than previously. So when I'm talking about video game rating, I am talking mainly about two. I'm going to talk about the ESRB rating for the United States and the PEGI rating for the European Union. I know there are other rating systems and I will post a picture with all of them so you can check them out also for yourself. But I'm going to talk about these main two ones and put them into, you know, a little confrontation between the two of them for the Sims franchise. So when we're talking about the Sims franchise, I'm going to talk about the mainline games. I believe other games, like especially my Sims games, those are usually rated E for everyone, and I think the PEGI rating is 3. But let's talk about the main franchise. So The Sims 1, the first Sims game, got an ESRB rating of teen. So for the European Union, that would mean 16 for the PEGI rating. But the PEGI rating for Sims 1 was actually 7, so it was way lower. So again, for Sims 2, we have ESRB rating teen, but for the PEGI, again, we have the 7 rating. Actually, the Sims 2 PSP version, that was 12+, so it was a little different. Now, if we go to Sims 3, we align a little bit more. Now, the PEGI rating goes up to 12, and the teen rating is the same for ESRB. It doesn't change. And the same goes for The Sims 4. So again, teen rating for ESRB and PEGI 12. But, you know, we can clearly see that The Sims 4 is actually one of the highest rated. So it is recommended 12+ for The Sims 4, and same goes for Sims 3. They are the same level, while the previous games, they were a little bit less, consider less, I guess, mature for the audiences for the European Union, so PEGI gave it a 7+. I know a lot of people usually confront The Sims 2 maturity level to obviously The Sims 3, but also especially The Sims 2, because they feel like The Sims 2 was way more mature. Same goes with Sims 1, especially when we're talking about the dancers, the cage dancers and the cake dancers. I believe those were also in The Sims 1, but when we're talking about The Sims 2, I know a lot of people like say that The Sims 2 felt more mature because of the way that the animations were made. And I do tend to agree that the Sims 2 animation felt more wacky and a little bit more interesting, and they had a little bit more pizzazz, especially when I'm talking about, I think there's spanking, there's pinching the ass, I remember, and there's a few other things that are a little bit more spicy maybe when we're talking about mature level, especially for woohoo animations. But overall, I feel like when we're talking about the general themes, we are pretty much in line in all four games. There is death, there is different types of dying with animations, with dying animations for all of them. I think maybe Sims 1 doesn't have all of that, but when we're talking about 2, 3, and 4, we'll see animations for death in all of them with different types of deaths, with the Grim Reaper showing up. So I can definitely understand that part. I also see the woohoo animations. There's a lot of different woohoo spots. And again, this is all in the previous games as well. And what I think mainly it's not present in The Sims 4 that maybe was present in previous games. I'm talking about the dancers. I know a lot of people talk about those. The exotic dancers, the cage dancers, the cake dancers, and also gambling. It's kind of in The Sims 4 with that game from Journey to Batuu, but other than that, there's really not anything like that in the game. There's not even slot machines or anything like that, so I can also understand that. But obviously, what's interesting is that with Lovestruck coming out, which is the new expansion pack, we are going to see a lot of more adult themes in The Sims 4. And the thing that I'm most interested to see, and I think from the trailer we've seen a little sneak peek of it, is the animations. And I feel like in the trailer where you have the dancing animation and all the like costumes that you can wear before going to bed with someone, I feel like that is all stuff that does give it a more mature edge to the game when we're talking about life simulations. And before anybody starts, yes, I am talking about Sims games, so the maturity level is gonna be like limited to a certain point. You're not gonna get any like super mega violent game from a Sims game unless you're using mods, because that's just not the kind of game that these are. So if you want to have like a mature rating, an 18 plus from Peggy, that has to be a different kind of game. We're talking about Grand Theft Auto, we're talking about Baldur's Gate, we're talking about different games where it's way more explicit, way more graphic, way more gore, way more violence, way more sex. This is not that kind of game. As always, I wanted to ask, how does Sims 4 compare to the predecessors in regards of its maturity? And I asked you on a Google form that I posted on my social media and also on this community tab. So if you're not subscribed to this channel, you probably have not seen it, and I highly suggest you subscribe to see the next one, because I love doing these Google forms to have your opinions as well and talk about those. But let's go through and see what you replied to my questions. So the first question was, do you think the Sims 4 rating T for teens is appropriate for the game as it is? And the majority of people did say yes, so I do agree that T for teens or the 12 Peggy rating, I honestly wouldn't give it the 16, which would be the corresponding Peggy rating. I feel like 12 is good enough, because even when we're talking about death, a 12-year-old should acknowledge that death exists and can exist in life. And when we're talking about woohooing, I feel like it is pretty covered up. It's pixelated, and usually the animation covers this up in some way, so you don't really know what they're doing. And as a person that was playing Sims games as a teenager, actually maybe even younger, I have never really like thought of what they were doing when they were doing woohoo. And obviously, if you're playing this and you are under the age of 12, I suggest maybe ask a parent. But as you can see, we also have a few people that did say no, so I'm wondering if they do think that the rating is too high and maybe it should be E for everyone, or if it's too low. I don't think it's too low of a rating. I don't think it should be M for mature. And 5 people did say I'm unsure, so I guess that's fine. I did put it in as a preventative thing because I thought maybe people don't know the rating of games, so I feel like that makes sense. So my second question was, do you think The Sims 4 feels more or less adult than the previous games in the franchise, The Sims 2 and Sims 3? So I have 4 people that did say that the game feels more mature than the previous games, and I feel like maybe they filled this questionnaire after the Lovestruck announcement, because maybe that gave them a little bit of a recency bias and they thought that, because I don't really agree that it feels more mature, but I respect that people could think that. A few people actually, interestingly, say that they have the same maturity level as the previous games, and I do have to agree with that. I feel like it's the same. And most people did say that it's less mature, which it's what I expected. I would probably be more in the same category myself, but I did expect most people to say that it feels less mature, so I'm interested to see and read what people think. So the next question is, with the announcement of the new EP Lovestruck, a few more mature themes are going to be added to the game, such as polyamory, bedroom role-playing, and a vibrating bed. Do you think this will change your view of the game's maturity? Most people said, yes, this EP will make the game more mature, which I do agree. I mean, we haven't seen everything from the pack yet. As of me recording, it's not out, so we don't really know what's coming and what's not coming, but I do tend to agree that with this pack it's definitely catered to adults more, and it has a bit more adult themes than previous packs, so it makes sense. But almost half the people did say that this EP won't change my view of the game, so they're going to keep thinking that it's either too restricted and sanitized, or that maybe it's too mature. But I did ask, yes, this EP will make the game less mature, and no one answered that. So I'm feeling like these people that says that it won't change the views of the game, they don't think that it will make the game less mature. And then I asked, if you believe that the older games in the franchise were more mature than The Sims 4, what are some features that are missing from those older games that will make you change your mind? I was just interested to see what people would say. I'm guessing there's gonna be a lot of the animation style, a lot asking about the dancers, and maybe gambling. And this first person does talk about gambling. This is always oddball gambling. I recall, at least here in Holland, gambling laws have become strict, especially when it comes to games that teens play here. But I don't know if it's actually been checked. But I recall in this Sims 3, you had a point shop, you could buy casinos. In Sims Medieval, which is set in a different time, you can also gamble. Speaking of Sims Medievals, that one also had wine and beer named as wine and beer, and it was a nectar. I feel like the nectar thing makes sense because it's not real life, it's Sims, so the name is different, but the idea behind it is the same. So it's still it gives you a buzz. There's still alcohol and an alcoholic beverage, but it doesn't have the same name because it's not the same word. But I do agree with the gambling thing. I understand where this person is coming from. I do understand here, especially when we're talking about Sims 3, there was the casinos. I do remember those. So that could maybe also come back to The Sims 4. I don't know if that would really make the game that much more mature, but I know I've seen a lot of people asking for gambling and casinos and all of that, slot machines especially, so that's definitely something that could be added soon. And this person talks cake dancer from 1 from the first series, or the bachelorette parties from 3, where you do have actual party itself. In 4, we don't have the dancer. You may see her crazy antics like dancing on tables. I can see that again, the cake dancers, that's one of the things that everybody's talking about, especially, and a lot of people were hoping that they would come back with this pack. I don't personally really care that much about them. If they add them, that's great and awesome, but I'm not gonna rile up and ask for them because I don't think they change the way I play the game personally much. But again, with the dancing on table thing, I feel like this is more of a case of missing animations. So, which I think it's something that maybe a lot of people just complain in general about The Sims 4, that the animations feels a little bit more stiff, because previous games were a little bit more wacky and crazy with those. Which is something that maybe with Sims 4 is missing a little bit. This person again says the majority of animations in Sims 4 being more goofy, less realistic, and in Sims 2 and 3, modeling nude from Sims 3 University, nectar drinks which actually labeled as alcohol, and its drawbacks like from Sims Medieval, Sims suffering an actual mental collapse from being too tense, and playable Sims getting arrested. Okay, so about the arrested, that's really something that is interesting because we don't have police in the Sims way we have in previous games with robbers. We don't have robbers, and because of that, we don't really have the way for police to exist. We do get to work with the police career, the detective career, and you do go around solving some kind of crimes around. But I can understand the people like, oh, your sim does something that's, I don't know, maybe they're drunk in public and they like scream and dance crazy, and they make a lot of noise, and they get arrested because of that, or underage drinking. That's all stuff that is missing from Sims 4, and I could see the argument for saying that this would make the game more mature. Animations, they feel more goofy in The Sims 4. I tend to maybe disagree a little bit. I feel like they're too stiff. I feel like Sims 2 animation especially were a little bit more wacky. I'm thinking mainly about the little like cutscenes that you would get maybe when you woohoo or kiss for the first time. Those felt very wacky and crazy to me, and those feel a little bit more naughty, you know? While Sims 4 feels a little bit more, oh, they're kissing, kiss, which is fine, but it does feel a little bit less in your face, maybe. And a lot of people, again, cis dancer, cake dancer, the love bed is coming with Lovestruck, so that's at least gonna be coming back. And just generally more fun than the game currently is. I feel like that's a bit debatable of a statement to like just say, oh, the game is not fun, because it can be fun for other people in some other ways. So this person brought up another good one, cheating with consequences, which I feel like is very, very interesting. Because remember, in Sims 2 especially, if you cheat and your spouse catches you while you cheat, their relationship are like go straight in the red so badly, like you're never gonna recover. In Sims 4, I feel like when you cheat, yes, the relationship bar goes down, but it doesn't go like in the red at all if you have a full bar. So it should have more of a consequence to it, and maybe the other Sims should react in some way, like break up with you, or at least fight in some way. They usually don't do that. They usually just get angry, and then if you talk to them a few times, the relationship goes back to normal. And I guess they did it a little bit with the sentiment thing. Now you do keep the sentiment for a decent amount of time, I believe, but I feel like it could be a little bit more. Oh, this is interesting. The interaction we have now, like passionate kiss, are very dramatic, almost like they're acting. In previous games, you felt like Sims were actually in love because there were so many different types of kisses. So that's interesting, and hopefully, I don't know if that's the case, but with Lovestruck coming out, there's going to be more animation for kissing. That would be very interesting to see. I feel like that would be nice. So my next question was, if you believe The Sims 4 is too mature for the few people that said that for the audience, what are some features that you believe should be removed or changed, and why? And honestly, I don't think any of the people that firstly replied to me saying that the game is too mature told me anything, because most people said nope, don't remove anything, which I agree. I don't think anything should be removed. This person really pointed something out that I 100% agree with, which is I think it should continue to mature and parents can make a decision whether or not their children can play the game. I feel like in any case, whichever game your kid is playing, if you're a parent, check out the game for yourself or something to make sure that what they're playing is correct for their age and for what you want them to see. So if you don't want them to play Sims 4 because you feel like it's too adult, I don't feel like the response is to say make the game less adult, is to make sure your children doesn't play this game until they're ready to do so. So at the end, I just ask a general question. If you have any other comments, opinions, ideas in regards to The Sims 4 and more adult themes. So the first person says, casinos is my guess, maybe cars, and maybe just maybe this one will be controversial. A story progression neighborhood stories where cheating is in, and also risky jobs like agent. The chance that your Sims gets killed, they can be turned off in the menu. That could be interesting, and I feel like with neighborhood stories being already in the game, it would be pretty easy to add maybe the cheating part. As per Sims having risky jobs where they could get killed, the issue that I have with that is that it could be too crazy, and you send your Sims to work one time and they never come back, which would be a little crazy to me. I mean, let's not bring everything from real life into game form. Could see casinos, cars, and all of that coming to the game. Cheating as well, I feel like that in neighborhood stories could really be added anytime soon. This person says, I wish they would push that boundary more and not be afraid of the critics and what those people or parents might say. I feel like this really depends, because to be honest, with The Sims 4 being free to play now, I feel like a lot more people play this game now, and a lot of them also are children, because children don't really have money to spend on games. They are going to download a free game when you get Steam, and Steam says, hey, Sims 4 is free. You can download it for free. A lot of children are probably going to download it. So I understand also where this person is coming from. I do agree that they shouldn't use the rating 100% to decide what themes and what they can and cannot add to the game. But we're talking about a multi-billion-dollar franchise at this point, so they have to thread the line pretty well, which is not really easy to do because you do have to, you know, keep in line with your audience that are paying you money to buy your packs. So if people want more mature themes, I feel like Lovestruck is a great example of what they want to do, like a little freaky pack, but not super freaky, right? And this comment is one that I really agree with. I think there's an aspects of Sims 4 that are just as mature coded as sparse games, where they feel less obvious. You can have woohoo clubs, there's pretty prominent orgasm imagery in many woohoo spots, and teens can mess around, for example. People point to Sims 1 features like the dancers, but those are pretty tame when you actually look back on them, and I wonder if some of this comes from people playing the games when they were younger and it felt more risque. And I 100% agree with this comment. I feel a lot of people look back on the previous games like Sims 2 and Sims 3 and I think, oh, those were so adult and mature, because when things were happening I would try to close the game and not have my parents see that I was playing and doing this because it was super crazy. But now that they are adults and play the Sims 4, they don't do that because they're adults. So they don't have to hide their computers from their parents or play Sims in the dark. So I agree that there's definitely something like this happening and people think, oh, the previous games, I remember I was so scared to play them. My parents would be so mad if I played them because they were so risque, and now they aren't because Sims 4 isn't. But is it because Sims 4 isn't as risque, or is it because you're now an adult and you don't have you hide to your parents? So I 100% agree with this. There's definitely a part of the audience that forgets that they have grown up also with the game. So the game probably is maybe at the same level, maybe a little less mature than previous games, but still, you are an adult now, so you probably have different standards. And again, this person says the Sim franchise should embrace the fact that most of its audience are adults and have toggleable options for a lot of things that would add realism, like sex, using protection, making Sims able to masturbate, the ability to remove the mosaic and have real genitals, miscarriages, abortion. It doesn't have to be explicit, but not everything has to be marketed to 10-year-olds. But the issue is, the most of the audience for Sims 4 is not adults. You see a lot of adults online that talk about Sims 4 because a lot of them have been playing Sims since they were children, but there are a lot of children that play Sims 4. That you have to keep in mind. So I could see some of these themes being integrated into base game, like I'm talking about using protection, for example, like give maybe a woohoo option, toggleable option, where you can have woohoo, just woohoo in general, and you could try it for a baby, just and maybe there's a chance that you can have a baby. Like there are mods that do that, and I feel like abortion and miscarriages could be implemented as well. I don't feel like we need masturbation and the removal of the mosaic for pixelation. I don't feel like we need that. There's plenty of mods that do that if you want that in your game. I don't feel like that's necessary for The Sims 4 at this point. And it wasn't something that was in previous games either, so I don't understand what it would be in this game now. So I don't super agree with this comment, but I can see some of these things being added to the game. So I agree with this one. The dance animation from My Wedding Stories, it should be intimate, romantic. It plays out like they're performing a dance competition and keep much space between them. I agree with this one. It should be more intimate. But I think this is not a case of spiciness. It's just a case of animation issues. They should have animated it differently for sure. This person said, I get why they have to keep within the rating. I don't believe it's a kids game, and they've always marketed to kids historically, so I could see them going M-rated during this 5. I don't see that happening. I see them either keeping the teen rating, or try to keep the teen rating, or even going lower and then release expansion packs for Sims 5 that are more mature and have maybe teen rating. But I feel like right now a lot of the gaming industry revolves around trying to get money from children, so they want to do that probably as well. So I don't know 100% that they're gonna be going into the M rating for The Sims 5 if The Sims 5 is coming anytime soon. But I guess we will see. We'll have to wait and see what happens. But that was it. Obviously, I have a lot more that I could have read, and I skipped a few things. But as always, if you have other ideas, info, thoughts, anything you want to let me know, leave me in the comments down below. I read all the comments every time. I always love to have open discussions and talking about these kind of things. So let me know, of course, in the comments down below. Thank you so much for watching, and bye bye.